From the corners of the internet to the wave signals transmitting through your brain, you are now sinking into All Aware. Preparing transmission signals. Stand by.
Silent scan.
Broadcasting off the grid in Central Texas. This is the All Aware Podcast.
Thank you.
Please stand by for your host, Nathan Roshan.
Hey, and welcome to All Aware with Nathan Roshan. Today, we're going to bring on Echo Hotel, like we usually do. And we're going to talk about climate change or global warming or whatever the new phrase is this week or this year, day, month, whatever it is. And kind of go into some of the facts about it, behind it. Some of the myths, maybe, surrounding it. How it's panned out since the 90s up until now. There has been, every year, there has been a new threat or a new interpretation of things that are going to happen that we need to watch for. And so let's talk about what some scientists, some geologists, some researchers have said about climate change, and if it really poses a threat, and should we really be concerned about it? So stay tuned here if you want to learn more about that and dive deep into this stuff here with us today as we discuss some of the things behind climate change and global warming. Are we going to flood and die in a year? Are we going to heat up so hot that the planet explodes? What is really going to happen? And why are people saying all this rah, rah, rah about, CO2? Isn't that good for the planet? Yeah, it actually is. But we'll go into that a little bit. So stay tuned. We'll be right back here on All Aware. I'm Nathan Roshan. Hang tight. We just got done. We had an interview recently with Flat Earth Dave, and it went really well. And we learned some stuff there. I think that I wasn't kind of aware of. I've seen some of his other programs and stuff. I think I might actually get the app just to mess around with. Although I don't know if I'm all about it tracking my location. That's
I
the
think
only
you
thing.
got to pay for that. That's the $11 a year part. Um,
Oh, okay.
he's it was funny because it reminded me of if you listen to George Norrie um, on Coast to Coast, he started like a bunch of dating
Yeah,
sites,
I
like
joined one a while ago. Yeah, like paranormal date.
yeah,
Yeah, and the conspiracy date.
and he mentioned that on his app. He's like, people use it for dating too, and I'm like, you got all kinds of crazies out there dating each other, man. Not that that's crazy. I mean, it's like I told him. You could tell me the Earth's flat now, dude. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe it is. I'd really like to go out and explore and find out. That's for sure. Um, he didn't go into the Red Bull guy, like he did
No,
on
that's right.
Seth's show, which I was hoping to get to, and because I don't remember if I'd have to look it up if that Red Bull guy was 200,000 feet up or 20 miles up or I don't remember what it was, but he I know coming from an aviation background, people that I've talked to say you're not going to start seeing the curvature of the Earth until you're at least 65 miles up.
Exactly.
And that's up there, man. I mean, you're up there at 65 miles above the Earth.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's what my thing too is that I was trying to get. I had a golf ball here. I was gonna use as a description and kind of be like, if I put a dot on this golf ball here, it's not even going to be small enough. It's for us to represent us, and you're not going to see. I don't care if you fly up in a plane or whatever you do, you're not going to see the curvature because the Earth's just too big, man. It's like a flea on a beach ball. I mean,
yeah,
if you're looking through the eyes of that flea, you're not going to see it. But I don't know. I think a lot of what he's doing is he's using that to get other information out there because some of the other stuff he was talking about, I mean, it's some awake stuff, man.
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's like some legit stuff. And so if he has to say the Earth's flat to get traction, just like the other guy we had on, how he took things in a derogatory way in order to get traction. He's also giving some good information. So
And people
uh,
respond to it.
yeah,
It's
they are, man. I mean, it's sad, but if that's how you have to get through the people, I mean. But on this episode, I wanted to talk about another major thing that's we've heard about for years and years. Every year, it seems like there's a new warning, there's a new alert, there's a new theory about behind climate change or global warming or whatever the term is that they're using this year, and kind of just what I mean. I have a couple things written down here and some sites I can bring up, but um, just wanted to have kind of like a common sense talk. I know you follow a lot of stuff, and this has kind of been one of the things that has been plugged by the mainstream, but also by independent and alternative channels, talking about the other side of it and kind of what it is. And so I guess I'll just throw out my explanation of what I think is happening, and then maybe you can share with me yours, and we can kind of look at a couple things that I have brought up here from Greg Braden. He's a researcher, scientist who has been following this for a while. There's a news reporter. I can't remember his name at the moment, but he's been sharing some stuff about what's going on too. But in my opinion, like from everything I know, I mean, it's natural. Like I'm not going to say there's no climate change and that there's no global warming or whatever you want to call it, but it's a natural rhythm and cycle that happens over time, and we just haven't lived in the time frame as we are now that is experiencing the type of phenomenons and weather that we are, and that there's nothing that we're doing that is causing this. it's more of like it's coming from and it's not even just the earth, it's the universe is heating up because of the sun and some things going on with that Greg Braden talks about and some others. But it's more like a universal warming, but on the planet it might be warming, but or it might be changing climates, but there's nothing we can do or cannot do to stop it. It's going to be what it is. That's kind of where I come from. I think it's being displayed as a something so a certain sector of people can benefit off of it and become more wealthy, and others, are scared and terrified and giving all their money to this other certain group of people to try to change it or fix it or be globally conscious or whatever. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, you've heard about it
Well,
for
I mean, I'm behind enemy lines here in Cali, and it's funny because there was there's a push right now in Cali for a mileage tax because of global warming, and it just like you said, it's all bullshit, so they can tax you more and charge you more. And I mean look at these look at the electric vehicles. I mean, the one thing that they want to do, one reason they want you to drive an electric vehicle is because they can turn it off if they don't like how far you're driving. Not that it's gonna, what was a 300-mile range, it's just gonna stop anyways if you can't get it charged. But look at the mining that goes into some of the materials that go into the batteries.
right.
How and they use huge machines that are powered by diesel and labor, um, human labor to get those elements out of the ground. So
Yeah.
you've seen the lithium mines and the holes in the ground like I have.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But
It's
just
very
talking,
toxic.
yeah, even just talking about climate change, that's the meaning of climate change. Is the climate changes, the climate is always changing.
Right.
You're right, we live in a time right now where it's relatively stable, but we're also in a mini ice age. It's not as hot as it was, a few million years ago, where there was, no polar ice caps. This is a mini ice age that we live in. It's a temperate, mild climate, and yeah, it's changing. Some summers are warmer, some summers are cooler. Um, I don't know. I've been on this planet over 50 years now, and I remember in the 80s it was hotter than hell down in San Diego, and now there's been a few years where it's pretty mild. It seems like, if anything, the climate's cooling more. They're telling us the opposite.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The other thing I hate is that they're telling us that this whole CO2 stuff, and CO2 is like what the plants breathe. It's more
yeah,
greener now than
yeah,
it's ever been in our recorded history. It's greener now than ever because of CO2. CO2 is good. We breathe oxygen. Everything else that's green that has chlorophyll in it breathes CO2. So by increasing CO2, if that is what's happening, we're making it a greener planet because they're just going to take it and they're going to recycle it, and it's a symbiotic thing that happens. What I don't like is they make people think that it's a bad thing. Now, should we be spewing like toxic chemicals up into the sky just frivolously everywhere through factories and whatever? No. I mean, if we don't have to, why are we? But the point that they're it's funny, it's because like it's the ones that are telling you like we got to do something about climate change and that CO2 is the problem and that factories and cars and horses and cows and people breathing and farting is the problem. Like they're the same ones that invest in oil companies. They own factories. They have
they're the ones that have
private
7
jets.
mansions and private
Yeah,
jets.
Yeah, they have people drive them places they don't care what they're driving. Yeah, it's just I just wish that we would like as a community, as society, understand the con that's going on here. I mean, if you want to be economically conscious, that's great. I mean, if you want to eat, cleaner, or you want to eliminate your carbon footprint, or you want to recycle, or you want to whatever, that's awesome. But to like make it this global thing where we have to be taxed and somebody else knows how to handle it better than us as individuals and whatever. I just I tried to bring up this thing, Echo. I had, and you probably seen it too before, but it's a diagram where somebody came and put together since like the 50s. It was like 1950, 1960, 70, 80, and it listed what the reason for climate change was for that decade. And it was always something new. It was always another excuse. Like in the 50s, it was like, oh well, and this is just an example because I can't remember, but it was like, oh yeah, the aircrafts from the war have made the climate change
Yeah.
worse, and then in the 60s it was like, well, the industrial boom and all these factories and stuff, and then in the 70s it was whatever, and then now it's the cars, we're overpopulated with cars, and then
The 80s it was acid rain.
yeah,
I
that's
know, I
right,
know, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen that.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah, it's
yep,
always something different, It's always doom and gloom, and this is gonna kill you, and we got to deal with this. Um, I don't know if I ever told you or not. This is a different part of my life. I got into um, I was a believer in the climate change and the earth is warming and everything. So
okay,
instead of complaining about it, I decided to do something about it. So I had a diesel truck and a diesel little Mercedes car, an old like just regular old Mercedes car. It was a beater. I used it's kind of as a test run, so I didn't destroy a $20,000 truck. I would use this old beat up Mercedes as a test vehicle. But I I bought a machine and I started going to restaurants and I started getting
no way,
used vegetable oil,
yes, awesome.
and I was like, okay, I'm I'm gonna do something about it. I can't complain and tell people not to pollute, and then I'm driving around polluting. So for about 4 years, I literally made my own fuel,
Oh, that's
and
badass.
out of used vegetable oil from restaurants. And it is true, if you get it from a pizza joint, it's gonna smell like the exhaust is gonna smell like pizza. I had a few Mexican restaurants, smelled like chips.
Nice.
Um, it was like a floral. It was a really nice floral smelling that came out of the exhaust. It wasn't like that sulfur it comes out of the diesel, the regular dyno diesel. That's another lie. Dyno diesel,
Yeah.
like it came from dinosaurs. But
Yeah. No.
but I did this up until 2008 when when the economy fell apart and all the restaurants that I was getting oil from closed down. And it was like, okay, well, I can't really get any oil anymore, so I had to start going back to regular diesel. But the answer in my book, okay, so if they're telling us it's global warming because the CO2 and all the stuff that's coming off the regular diesel fuel is from dinosaurs, 65 million years ago, when the Earth was warmer and the CO2 levels are higher. Well, if you use stuff that's grown today, then it's carbon neutral. In my mind, it's not going to put any more CO2 in the air than what we're doing right now. And so in my mind, the answer to that problem was biodiesel. Well, biodiesel was vilified, and it's hard even now. I think maybe one truck stop carries biodiesel, unless you make it yourself. And then there's B20 blends because they said, oh, the motors it clogs up the motors. We can't do it, so they have to blend it with this other diesel. it's all bullshit. I mean, you and I were both in this business, this diesel business here, and the stuff, the DEF, the
Oh,
smell and the
that's
chemical that the DEF puts out, it has to be 100 times worse than any diesel fuel going into the air. And for people that don't know, if you're going down the freeway and you're behind a diesel and you see this huge white cloud of smoke coming out of this diesel, it's because it's regenerating and cleaning the exhaust filters and the other stuff. Um, go to biodiesel,
yeah,
but they won't do it, probably because there's no money in it.
yeah,
Um, because black gold comes out of the ground. So
yeah.
that's my take on it. And once I learned that we were being lied to and that it's all bullshit, I still have the machine. I would still love to go and do it. It takes a lot of time. It takes about 3 days to make 100 gallons of biodiesel.
Man, yeah, that's awesome. I was the same way though. I believed in that too. Actually, Willie Nelson, he was really big
Bio
into
Willie.
that. Bio Willie, yeah,
Bio
man.
Willie, dude.
That was my dude, and he got me into it, man. Listening to him talk about it, and
Yep.
I wanted to do it. My first diesel vehicle, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't get a chance to, but and like you said, I still will, just because it's cool, anyways. But that's yeah, I never knew that about you, man. That's funny. That
Do you remember the interview Willie Nelson gave back? And it was probably like about the same time I was doing it. And he said, they asked him, they said, I remember what they asked him, but he's like, you gain a lot of new friends when you make biodiesel. Everybody
yeah,
wants to come over and fill up.
yeah, I think he was in Carlsbad, Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, the interview there was when he was in Hawaii. I can't remember which, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. Man, he was awesome. But
I forgot
anyways,
about Bio Willie, man.
yeah, good old Bio Willie, dude. And he put his first station in Carlsbad, Texas. There used to be I want to say a Petro, I'm not sure, but I don't know if it went out of business, but he ended up buying it, and he put in biodiesel stations, and it's right up here, where 35 in Texas, where 35 splits. If you're going north towards Dallas, 35W splits off towards Fort Worth.
Yeah.
35E splits off towards Dallas. It's all on the 35E split right there. Carl's is it Carl's Corner or Carl's? Yeah. Yeah, it's right there. I don't know if they still have the biodiesel, but man, yeah, that's great. Like, to be able to do that stuff, that's economically efficient. I mean, that's not a bad thing to do, but I just I don't know, man. Just the way that it seems like every decade they have a new story, and it's being bought by so many people, and then they judge you if you do not follow that. It's like,
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. The people that say that they're doing things to be to be I don't know the word, but like to be conscious of themselves and try to do stuff for other people, they're the ones that judge the worst, man. Like, if
It's like self-governing, man. You and I believe in self-governance.
Yeah.
It's just like govern yourself and don't worry about what I'm doing if I'm not hurting you. And it was
Yeah,
a social justice, or the social justice warriors out there.
man, I know they're the worst, man. I mean, I remember when I was in college, it was towards the end there, the Prius came out.
Yeah.
And my RA, director or whatever of the residential hall that I was staying in, got one, and she was so proud of herself, and she felt everyone else should be proud of her. So she shows it all off and blah blah blah, and I'm standing there like, okay, well, that's cool. If you like it, that's cool. And I could just tell, like, the way she responded to me is like she was offended that I wasn't super excited and all about her saving the planet by getting this stupid ass Prius. And it's like, well, I'm happy for you if that's what you believe in, but I don't, I don't care. And but I'm the bad guy. And it's like, no. There's a
That's
reason I
funny,
don't
bro.
care. Yeah, man. It's
My daughter actually told me this the other day, and I didn't never notice it. I've noticed it with other vehicles, but she's like, Dad, have you ever seen that some of the worst drivers out there are the ones who drive Priuses? And then I
yeah.
started, I'm not trying to offend Prius drivers, but I started watching them on the freeway, and dude, it's crazy. Some of them are just whipping in and out of traffic, doing 70, 80 miles. You're not saving anything at doing that. It's more like an entitlement, like,
yeah.
like I'm entitled, get out of my way, um, type of thing, which I could be wrong. It's just my own observation here in
Yeah.
Cali, watching. I mean, every other car is a Tesla or a Prius or that god awful Ford Mustang, electric Ford Mustang.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Fortunately, I haven't got the pleasure or displeasure of seeing one of those yet. Uh, but yeah, you being out there in Cali, I'm sure you got all that stuff, man, around you there.
Whoever designed that new Ford Mustang electric is probably in the same boat as the gal that decided to do the Bud Light
Oh,
thing. They're
yeah.
probably both been fired.
Yeah. Oh. I thought I saw a speaking of her, and I don't even know her name, but I I saw an interview with her after that, and I thought maybe, she would have some points to like, hey, I messed up. I took for granted, something, but whatever, but instead, no, man, she's like still hardcore on board. She just says that she did what was right, and she said that she's a businesswoman, and that inclusivity and all that stuff is her goal, and all this, and it's like, okay, well, but you're being inclusive, but you're excluding 99.5% of everyone
Exactly.
else to get a market of 0.5%. Why? I don't get it.
You know what? And I tell people this all the time, dude. It's companies don't just wake up one day and decide to lose billions of dollars. They're not that stupid.
Yeah.
Anheuser-Busch, although it's been taken over by a global
Yeah, we
conglomerate,
both work there, so we both know what we're
so
talking about here.
yeah,
Yeah.
they've been taken over. The Bushes are gone. Anheuser's were gone, in the 1800s. Bushes had it up till I think 2007.
Close
That's a
to.
pretty good run, and then you get bought up by a global conglomerate that you don't just decide to lose billions of dollars. These, and this may be a little off topic, but the executive orders that Trump put into place before all this went down back in 2017, 2018, cover these companies. You remember when it was like 500 or 600 CEOs of large companies parachuted out? They
Yep.
were done. They were out.
Yep.
And
Sure do.
Crown Prince bin Salman from Saudi made the rounds and went to all these Fortune 500 companies in 2017 and 2018, and I think he laid the law down and told them what was coming, and that this was how they were going to have to conduct their business at some point, and if they didn't like it, they could get the hell out, and so this has been coming for a long time, and people think, oh, they made a mistake. No, they didn't make a mistake. Somebody told them to do this, just like Target, dude. Target didn't just decide
Yeah.
to lose billions of customers and billions of dollars. They were told to do this,
Yeah.
you know um whether people want to believe it or not, just listen to the evidence that Derek puts out, and we are under a limited martial law military occupancy right now. They are running the show, and they are doing what they want to do. And so, I mean, a little off topic, but people can go and look that up. And
No, you're right, man. You're absolutely right. And Derek Johnston, he's a country singer, patriot. He goes by Rattle Trap 1776 on Truth Social, if you have that.
I think the executive order, I'm just pulling this off the top of my head, it might be 13848. I think that covers this.
Executive. Let's look it up here.
He pulls the stuff off the top of his head all the time, and I look it up and I'll go read it and I'll be like, holy crap. It was there the whole time. The Law of War Manual lays all this shit out, everything. But he's right. Nobody goes and reads.
No, they don't. They don't at all, man. It's ridiculous. So I got 13848. What did you say it was?
I think it was 13848. I think that's the executive order that deals with human trafficking and companies that were involved in that type of stuff. Hilton, the Hilton guy it was just came out that the Hilton guy was on the top of Jeffrey Epstein's list, like number one guy. Had meetings with him and Gates and he had like 9 phone numbers for the guy in his phone.
Yep.
That's gonna fall under that executive order too.
Imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in the United States election. This is it right here, 13848.
And when was that? That was 2018. That was September 2018. That was 2 months before the midterm elections in 2018. How did Trump or anybody know that there was going to be a problem with that 2 months before midterms?
I know, dude. That's why, I went in this when I did the Trump episode where I went to the rally in Waco, Texas. I talked about devolution, and that's a lot about what Derek Johnston, and Patel, Patriot, and everybody talks about. They have different angles towards it. And like Derek Johnson's pretty straightforward. Like he's going to give you the number of the order, and you can go look it up. I mean, yeah. I remember I put out the Law of War Manual on my Facebook page back in like 2016 or something too, because someone had mentioned it, and I went to the section and it was talking about I think it was actually it must have been 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And it was talking about what happens if there's a legitimate takeover or coup that overtakes our legitimate government. What happens? And I put it out there because the exact things were happening, and it's what we saw on Biden's inauguration day, where the military was there. There were fences up. There were people turning their backs. It was just all weird. It didn't happen at 12 o'clock. It happened at like 12:08 or something.
No, it happened at 11:57.
11:57.
And that was 3 minutes before 12 noon when it's supposed to happen. Yeah, and Biden received 3 cannons. That's a funeral. Well, we both know that Biden's been dead for years. I mean, there's four different guys playing him right now.
Yeah.
I mean, all you got to do is look at a side-by-side picture of the old guy and the new guy, and I mean, there's if you go on SG Anon's Rumble, and I saw this before he posted it, but he posted this about a month ago. There's a video of this clown playing Biden now, walking through the airport carrying his own luggage and getting into an Uber.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
the point is, it's all a show, man. It's just hopefully people see it. It's a show.
People get so worked up about it, and there are some dangers here. I don't doubt that if someone pushed the wrong button or someone said the wrong thing, we could find ourselves in a world of shit real quick.
Yeah.
But for the most part over here, it's a show. It's a show, dude.
And, that's one thing on our last episode when we were with Flat Earth Dave. I liked what he said.
Well, he kept mentioning Strawman. I wanted to.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to go in a different direction with him, and I had to hold myself back. I'm like, okay, that's a whole nother level when you start talking.
That's your show, bro. That's the Night Watch program right there.
I know. I knew we only had him for an hour, so I didn't want to get him too far off track, because. But getting back on topic. Dane Wigington does that show every Saturday where he talks about the what they're spraying over us, the chemtrails, and he's, his agency. I don't remember what his website is, but he's gone up, but uh, probably millions of dollars at this point into it, and had private planes and gone up and taken samples from the chemtrails. And I mean, at this point, if you can't see the chemtrails, or if you don't believe it, well, um, I'm sorry, you might be one of the 3%. But I was able over the last 15 years to sit in my backyard, and in the mornings it was just almost like a snow from the night before, where that stuff just, if you in the right light, it's like snow falling. And
Yeah.
And they've taken samples from Lake Shasta, and Lake Shasta, I think the aluminum and barium content in Lake Shasta was thousands of times higher than normal up there.
Yeah.
And it really, really disturbed me, because I, as former military, I was like, how could military pilots, yeah, right there, how can military pilots do this and not know better? And because their families have to live in this crap too, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was watching a show with I love watching Nino, man, mostly because I'm just waiting for him to blow a gasket, and and he usually does.
Oh yeah.
But he had
Yeah, he's one of my favorites too.
dude, he's awesome, but he had he put up the so Juan did a general's tent with him. And the one thing that struck me as crazy is all the, I don't know if you know what the general's tent is, but it's one of his levels on his on his paid
Talking about
channel.
On Juan's?
No, Juan was a guest.
Oh, okay. It was
Juan
on
was a
Nino's.
guest.
Okay.
Juan was a guest, and hold on a minute. Sorry, had to my son came in for something. Just technical difficulties. So Juan was a guest on his platform, and the general's tent is where if you're on a certain level, you can, it's like a Zoom call with 50 people or however many people there are. The whole, from what I could see, everyone on there was women. Women are
man,
fucking
yes.
stepping up, bro.
Yes.
I'm like, where are all the fucking men?
Yes.
And so for 3 hours, all these women were asking him questions, and I mean, he could talk for probably 5 hours, and sometimes he kind of, he talks a little in circles and parables, and but this one young lady asked him a question about the chemtrails, and she was really, really upset about it. How could they do this to us? Why are you allowing this? Why is Trump allowing this? And he came on, the first time I've ever seen him come unglued, bro. I mean, he came unglued on her after about 5 or 10 minutes of the conversation. And he explained to her that this is a global defense against intercontinental ballistic missiles. It confuses their guidance. And he said it's been ongoing since the 80s. He said it's not perfect, it's not what we want, but right now it's pretty much the only thing saving our ass from an intercontinental ballistic missile coming in. So whether we're watching a show or whether it's real, he was adamant, and put her in her place and let her know that, you know what, you can protest all you want, you can go out there and talk to whoever you want, they're not going to change it. it's gonna get cleaned up at some point, hopefully in the next 3-4 years. But right now, it's the only thing that's out there saving our ass from a missile coming in. And he said, as much as you don't like breathing it in, a nuclear bomb would really make your day a lot worse.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think there's other reasons too. I mean, that might be one of them, but they're also spraying other stuff in the air too. They're spraying viruses and biological agents, and there's all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
But we know it's happening. They have I mean, it's the Air Force admitted that it happens. There's a video floating around now where I don't know if he's retired or whoever he is or her, but they take a tour of a Cessna that was outfitted with the
That's
equipment.
Dane's. Yeah, that's the plane Dane Wiggins took up.
Is that him? Okay. Yeah. And
That's
then,
on his site.
Yeah, and there's patches that say from official patches that say chemtrail unit and all this other stuff. So yeah, I mean they are, but then there's other people. When there's one thing happening, there's multiple things within that same realm happening. So, but
I believe that there were viruses and things, graphene and other things that were spraying on us.
Yeah.
I think that under Trump's administration, I think a lot of that got shut down. I think now it's I don't think it's as bad as it was. I think now it's probably the aluminum and the barium and the strontium things to give us that cover, that cloud cover.
Yeah.
And they said it's for global warming to reflect the sun back into the back to the sun.
We've heard that too.
It's who knows? Maybe that's how it started, but it's not how it's ending up, at least according to them. So I'm obviously not on the inside. I don't know much more about it than that, but it's the first time I've ever seen him come unglued on somebody and put them in their place like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure that's he's passionate about it as well because everyone's doing what they can to try to get through this spiritual and physical and universal war that we're in over our lives and our humanity and our future. But I guess for climate change, to get back on topic there, I mean, they have said that is used for that as well, to reflect the sun and all that stuff. I think it's also being used for weather modification though. And we got, and
100%.
And that's a lot about this climate change too. They tell you, well, and then like common people will tell you, well, like, look at all this crazy weather that's been happening, and it has been crazy. Just here in Texas, last month we had 20 days straight of severe thunderstorms, rain, crazy crap that's never happened like that. We usually get 8 out of 10 days complete sunshine. Even on the days when it rains, it's cleared up and the sun comes out every single day. It hasn't been like that. I know in Ohio, I've got family in Ohio. They've had the reverse. They've had what Texas usually gets. They've had clear skies 9 out of the 10 days when they usually have 8 days of clouds and 2 days of sun. And they've had warmer temperatures. And I think right now it's 89 or 84 today there. And that's what it is here in Texas. They have lower humidity than us, and we have high humidity, which is usually reversed too. So, there's all these, and I think that's another way that they use to try to push this climate change as being a negative thing. Let me show you. There's a guy named what is this guy's name? Steve Malloy. Have you heard of Steve Malloy?
I have. That name sounds familiar.
Nice. Yeah. So he came on, and he came on this TRT World Report, and he was like, you know what? I mean, F it. I'm tired of this BS. I'm gonna tell the truth. So he ends up laying it out for them. And let me see if you can't hear this.
Welcome to TRT World. So we see climate models suggesting a possible return around the world to El Niño weather conditions. What exactly does that mean? What will that look like?
And this is for you out in Cali.
Well, there's a very good chance that global temperatures will increase somewhat this year because of El Nino. Recent warming since the 1980s has been driven by El Ninos. I don't think emissions play any role at all. Over the last 8 years, we've emitted 500 billion tons of emissions worth 14% of man-made CO2, and there's been no warming. What causes the warming is the El Nino. As far as we can tell, there's nothing we can do about that. El Nino is a natural phenomenon caused either by volcanic activity under the Pacific Ocean, possibly with some solar contribution, but it's got nothing to do with emissions. So
can I just stop you there, because that sounds so interesting.
And of course, she stops him.
She shuts him down.
Yeah, and says her piece and everything like that.
Dude, he is 100% right. One volcano puts off more emissions in 1 year than we could ever dream of. And living in Cali, I've lived through probably 2 El Ninos that I remember. And the one El Nino that was the worst was 98. I want to say 98 going into 99, bro. And it rained every single day for months straight. And
Really?
the reason I remember this is because it's when I started my own business and I was out in the elements, and I was just like, oh my God, is it ever going to stop raining?
Right.
And it was the El Nino, and it comes up. It's a weather phenomenon that comes up from the South Pacific off of Baja, and pushes into California, and it just brings a shit ton of moisture, and it just rains.
Isn't that related to like the Santa Ana winds and stuff like that too? Doesn't that all play effect in all that as well?
I don't think so. The Santa Ana winds come every year, and they blow off the desert, and it brings heat off the desert. So you can actually Santa Ana winds are beautiful because you'll be sitting out at night and it'll just give you this warm desert air.
Oh wow.
And it's just really comfortable to sit outside at night in Southern California,
sitting out by that pool with that warm breeze.
That's it.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. But
yeah, it's just when the winds reverse. So most of the time in Cali, the winds come off the ocean and it cools everything down. When the Santa Anas hit, the winds come off of the desert and blow towards the ocean. So it's nice and warm.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun time. I know I have family in Arizona, and we would be out sitting on the pool, and man, it drops quick out in that desert, man. People that haven't visited a desert area don't realize, it's 120 degrees in the day, but as soon as dusk hits, it goes from like 100 to like 60 in the matter of an hour.
Yeah.
And then that night, I mean, if there's a breeze, whatever, it could be cold, man. It could really be cold. So I could just imagine having those winds. That's got to feel good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny you were talking about the stuff going on in Texas, because I remember probably 2012, 2013, somewhere around there, the ice storms that hit Texas. And this is long before the ones that I think there was ice storms a year or two ago too.
2019, 2020, yeah.
But some of the ice storms, and I remember a buddy of mine coming across the 20, and this is not to gross anybody out, but he was coming across and his windows fogged up, and the defroster in his car, it was a little beater car, and the defroster wasn't working, and he had these ice storms hitting, and he literally had to pee in a bottle and get out and then dump it on the windshield to defrost it, to be able to get to the next safe haven where he could pull over and get off the freeway.
Wow.
So yeah, for those of us that drive, know that's some of the struggles real.
Yeah, that never had to do that, but I can see. I mean, you got to do something. What else are you gonna do, man? You got to see. You got to keep going. That's what that 91% rubbing alcohol comes into effect, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I got, man. I still carry it around, man, religiously in my truck, and I fill the same bottle up all the time, and it's in my door, and everybody's like, "What the hell do you have 91% rubbing?" You'll see.
Yep.
Just wait.
Yep.
You'll
You
see.
live in Texas long enough and you get some ice storms, you'll see.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be the one driving with clear windows, and you guys will be after you can't see anything.
Oh.
But yeah, man, I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about this stuff because it's I think it it needs to get out there, and we need to kind of have open conversations about it. And I think on one of the next episodes, I know we're not going to be able to do one here for a while. You're going to be going to speaking of Baja, you're going to Baja, right?
I'll be in Baja this weekend for the Baja 500, the off-road race.
Yeah.
Going down for a little relaxation and so spend some time with my son, riding our bikes around, looking at race cars, spewing plenty of CO2 emissions into the air.
Yeah. Just making the grass grow a little greener there. That's all. But
they use a higher octane fuel, so I don't think I think they're burning a little cleaner.
Man, I'm sure they are. They got race fuel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna be kind of tied up too here for the next few weeks as well. So we won't be able to do another episode here for a while, but hopefully when we get back into the rhythm of things, we can what I want to do, and I'm going to put this out to anybody that follows my show or Echo's Night Watch program in his channel. And you're probably going to agree. I mean, tell me if you don't, but I would like to bring on a guest onto the program who wants to know something about what we talk about. On Echo's show, he talks more about the American State National type stuff, being free, becoming free, just learning the laws and the regulations and who they apply to, who they don't. And on mine, I also talk about that. But then we can talk about paranormal. We can talk about UFOs. We can talk about climate change. We can talk about any subject. I like to stay on the fringe side of things because that's where the truth actually lies, somewhere in there. If it's being spewed out by the mainstream, it probably isn't true. There's going to be some truth in there, but it's because you got to have truth in every lie or no one believes it, right? But I like to stay on topics that people don't like to talk about. So I'd like a guest to come on the program so that we can kind of help discuss and decide, what's real, what's not. Some of your experiences. What do you think about that, Echo?
I think that's great because we're starting to book guests now, and we're getting some really good, interesting people for our shows.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna plug the other channel real quick too. Because you brought up Baja, so another channel that I do is Terapia de Acceleración, which in English is throttle therapy. And that's
we'll spell that out for you down here.
You can't dive so far into this stuff that you get lost. You have to go and live your life too, and you have to go and have a little bit of fun, which is I appreciate you bringing that up when I'm going to go do this weekend, because I've already got my GoPro mounted to the handlebars and my helmet, and I'm going to put together a video for that too. It'll be on the other platform where I don't really post any of this stuff. It's more motorsports oriented, building sand rails and going to Mexico and just doing that type of stuff. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and yeah, I can't wait to bring someone else on. I mean, dude, there's so many interesting people out there. There's a couple other people that I've been trying to get to come on that are great researchers and know so much more than I do about this stuff. They research this stuff night and day, and but they just sit in the background and they kind of post on Facebook or they post on Truth, and it's like, hey, come on the show. Let's
Yeah.
So I'm working it. I know we're both working it from both ends. You were able to land Dave, and we had Brandon on. So yeah, let's keep it up and keep getting people on. There's plenty of people out there that research this stuff day and night. So
yeah, well, I'm even talking about, I guess when I said guests, I'm even talking about just like our viewers or people that
no, that's
watched.
what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're just as, you guys, we're all just as knowledgeable as the next person. We all share a different side or a different way of thinking, and that's what brings the truth out. And so yeah, exactly. Like, you don't have to be one of these guys that are out there doing it big and going to conferences and stuff. You could just be somebody interested in this stuff, and you might know something. We want to talk to you. We all get started somewhere, and let's share this information together and rebuild our world and get together and share our thoughts and things.
It's funny to close out the something that just entered my mind, and my background, former Marine, and one of the Q posts, I don't bring Q up a lot, but one of the Q posts said, remember your oath.
Mm-hmm.
And even Derek Johnson talks about, and I've told my buddies this, my Marine buddies that I served with, that one day maybe we're going to be the ones that are out there teaching the younger generation what happened. And so I've been out and gone out of it for a lot of years, but when you raise that right hand and you take that oath, it never ends. And so at some point, I believe they're probably going to ask guys like me and the older guys to step back up and perform a role. At least I hope so. So we'll see.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's probably going to be open to others as well. I mean, if you served in any other type of public safety or anything like that, I'm sure you're going to have a role to play too. So now's the time to get prepared, because we're going to have to build the new earth, the new world that we want after this all crumbles down, or however it goes down across the world. But I think everybody knows at this point that something is severely wrong, and something is happening, and it's not going to stop. You can't stop an avalanche halfway down the hill, and we're halfway down the hill, so we're not going to be able to stop this either.
The point of no return is gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, all right, Echo, appreciate you coming on here tonight, and we're gonna have to close it up, I guess. I know you got stuff to do, and we've been on here for several hours. We did the other show today too, so thanks a lot, man. And for all you guys watching, this has been an episode of All Aware. I'm Nathan Roshan, and you are All Aware. Check us out on truerants.net, allawarepodcast.com. And you can visit Echo's channel at youtube.com /Echo Hotel 605. And man, you got to get a website soon.
Yeah. I actually, I put together a page with all the links for Facebook and other stuff. I'll send that to you so we can. I put it in my links, but I never send it to you. So maybe we can make that stuff available and put it in the show notes too.
Absolutely, we'll collab and get that stuff out there for everybody too. So,
awesome. All right, brother.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of All Aware with Nathan Roshan. Subscribe and view episodes by going to rumble.com and typing in All Aware Podcast. You can also view us on youtube.com/@AllAwarePodcast or on brighteon.com/channels/AllAwarePodcast. If you are mobile and cannot watch the show, check out the audio version on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Player FM, or anywhere you download your podcasts. Like, subscribe, and visit our website at allawarepodcast.com.